Hey everyone, it's Heather, and today we are going to be making a beautiful charm bracelet. And this is the beaded style. You can do the chain style as well, but this is the one we're going to make today. This one's really, really pretty. And I based this off of my nail design. Yes, I do my own nails. Aren't they pretty? So this theme is kind of pastel, galaxy, fortune teller, kind of a little bit of everything. And I really, really think it came out so beautiful. So I really wanted to show you guys how you can make your own charm bracelet. And you can make these to match your outfits. And they're super quick, super simple. Really, anybody can make these. And this bracelet features 5 different charms with a bunch of different style beads and bead caps, and they're just absolutely beautiful. Each one is really, really cool. I have a hand, Saturn, a crescent moon, a star, and a tarot card. Okay, let's get started. First things first, you're going to need elastic cord. I buy the jeweler's grade cord. I don't usually buy the really, really cheap stuff that you can get at like Walmart or the dollar store or whatever. That stuff sucks. Don't even waste your money on it. You can buy better quality cord online, or you can even find decent cord at Hobby Lobby or Michael's in the jewelry section. Next, you're gonna need 2 pliers, a pair of scissors, and for this design, I'm going to be using some different bead caps. I used 2 different ones in this bracelet, and that is these ones, and then also these ones for the bigger beads. Now you're also going to need 6mm jump rings. You can go 4 or 5, that's fine. I just wouldn't go over 6, and I wouldn't go under 4. Next, you're going to need charms. This is my celestial charm box, so I have a bunch of different moons and fairies and stars and all kinds of stuff in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my 5 charms out of here. Now you can use more charms or less charms. It's completely up to you. For this one, I did use 5. Also, don't feel like you have to go out and buy a bunch of charms. If you have broken jewelry, or say you're missing an earring, you can always take them off of either the ear hook or a broken chain or whatever, and you can recycle those charms, which is really, really cool. I've seen a bunch of people who literally will load up their charm bracelet full of charms and beads and literally just crazy, and for me that's a little much. I like to keep things simple and minimalistic, and for me this is a little much. It's kind of a little bit more than simple for me, but not to other people. But I think this is probably the most bling I will use, you know, in my personal life. So, but I think it's pretty. Okay, so for this bracelet I am mixing up the beads. I'm using a mixture of rondelle and some round ones, like these pink round ones. These are really pretty. I also forgot to mention, make sure you have a measuring tape so you can measure your wrists. Okay, so my wrist is approximately 5.5, and that's very tight. So I want to give some leeway for my wrist. So I would say probably do around 6 to 6.25. If it's a little bit over than that, that's fine. You will also have to make sure that you leave a little bit of extra room, because the beads will take up a little bit of width, because once they're on the string, that bead will go directly on your wrist, and so it obviously takes up more space. So usually I would say on average most of the bracelets that I make are around 7 inches total to 7.5. I do get custom requests for larger bracelets, and you know, I'll adjust that accordingly. So for this one it'll probably be close to about 6.5. Now I'm going to grab my elastic thread, and I don't pre-cut it. I keep it on the roll. The one reason why I don't cut it is because I hate when you're threading something and say you pick up one end and all the beads go everywhere. It's kind of annoying. So I usually keep it on the roll just for that purpose. You can also buy bead mats and things like that, but honestly, I really don't like the bead mats. I just kind of get a clear table or, you know, a felt sheet and I do all my beading on there. I find it just a lot more simpler, and I tend to make more mess on a bead mat because I have all these little pockets and stuff I can throw things in, and I just really don't like it. So usually that's stuffed in a corner in my craft room, but you can use it. It's totally up to you. So just whatever your preference is. Okay, so whenever you're using elastic, make sure before you start beading, this is a very, very, very first step, stretch your elastic. I cannot tell you how important it is to pre-stretch it. I don't know if you've ever had a bracelet that was made with elastic and beads, and after a while just kind of gets saggy and just sad and you can see the elastic on the inside. It's because it wasn't pre-stretched. The beads eventually start weighing down the elastic, and the elastic just starts getting tired of carrying all that weight. So it's really important to pre-stretch it so that way it won't be so crazy stretchy after wearing your bracelet for, you know, many days or many times in a row. So I'm gonna go ahead and just gently take it inch by inch and pre-stretch it. You don't have to pull too hard. You don't want to break your elastic. So I always end up over cutting or overusing, but I'd rather have too much than too little. It's kind of a pain when you have too little elastic. That's why I also keep it on the roll. Okay, so how I did this bracelet, I staggered the colors. I did a simple pattern and I really liked how it came out. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all of my beads in the pattern. Okay, one more. Okay, so this is the pattern that I went with for this style. Now, next what I'll do, so I don't get confused, is I put the bead caps near each coordinating bead that I want it to go on. I'm going to use the really, really big bead caps for these gray beads. These ones are really, really pretty. Okay. So now, these are my extras. I usually just set these off to a side. Sometimes I'll drop them and I can't find them. Like, no! Okay. So now I have my design kind of already pre-done for me. I don't have to do a lot of searching, and I really, really like designing this way because I find that it's easier to put together than just kind of throwing things together. You can kind of see it before it's completely finished and you can see how it's going to look. Also, you can measure it and see, okay, so this minus the spacing is about 6 3/4, but the beads, once they're up, they're gonna stand on its side, so it will be a little bit shorter. So this will probably be closer to 6 1/4, and that's about the size that I wanted. So let's get stringing. So the first one, I'm going to put in almost like the bead cap backwards because you want it to sit flush on that bead. And then the top one, again, flush. So it looks like that. And the reason why I do bead caps on a lot of my stuff, I just feel like it adds just that little extra oomph to the jewelry piece, because I feel like when you do just plain beads, I feel like it's really boring, and it almost just gives that bracelet or necklace or whatever you're doing just a little bit more sparkle and more texture too, because a lot of these bead caps are absolutely really, really beautiful. And you can see just the design work. It's It's so worth it. Just do it. Just do what I say. You can also use a threading needle if you have one. Mine is tucked away in my drawer right now and I don't feel like getting it out, but I'm pretty quick at beading, so. A little bit slower though with these nails, I'd have to admit. Okay. Halfway through. Now I'm also using rondelle beads in different sizes for this bracelet. I really, really love rondelle. That's one of my go-to style of beads. I do have a bunch of different ones, but I always just tend to buy them in rondelle. I think they're just so pretty and they just sparkle every which way. And they're very, very versatile. Almost there. I apologize, my hands have been put through the ringer. I have been washing my hands so much more, even though I've kind of a hypochondriac and I wash my hands a bunch anyways, but with everything going on, my hands are just super dry and just tired. They're tired. They need a day off. Okay. Okay. So, now that we're done stringing our beads, I generally like probably, I would say like 4 inches of string on one side, just so I know I have enough to tie. You don't want to go too short and then be just left with a little bit to tie with. It's kind of a pain. So usually I'll go about 4 inches and do a regular knot. Now, you don't want to pull too tight and you don't want to keep it too loose. Just when the beads kind of start getting a little bit tighter, you can totally see it. But when they're too stiff, they just don't fall right. Just keep them nice and loose, but not too loose where you see gapping. And then do a double knot. Now this first double knot, you don't want to pull too tight either. Usually when I'm tying, I go tighter and tighter with each knot. And I'll probably do about 4 or 5 knots, especially with this thread. This thread is actually really, really nice. It has a bunch of layers to it, so that way it won't break as easy as a single layer elastic. And then every knot, just go a little bit tighter. I've been buying this thread for years, and this is probably one of the best ones that I've come across. I think Hobby Lobby might have it. I know they have several different ones, but try not to get the single layer. Okay. Cut that. Now, after that is knotted, you can put a tiny bit of glue here to keep the knot nice and secure, and then just slip it over your bead, or slip it in your bead. The base part is all done, so now we're going to put all the charms on the bracelet. And this one is going to be every 3rd bead for my size. Now mind you, your size might be different. So I've already made this bracelet ahead of time, so I already know that it's 3. But if you are unsure of where to put yours, go ahead and place one, and then place your other ones around and kind of figure out what distance they need to be. If they need to be 3 or 4 or 5 beads, depending on the size of your beads or the size of your wrist, it will change. So for me, it was every 3 beads. Next, I'm going to get my jump rings and my 2 pliers. So now you're gonna hold your jump ring with one of the pliers. You will need 2 hands to do this. Grab your other pliers and very carefully open the jump ring towards you or away from you, never out. See how that's open in the center, but without stretching the jump ring? The reason why we do this is because when you open it out, it jeopardizes the integrity of the jump ring, and it's much, much harder to get it back to a perfect circle. So always open it opposite versus out. Okay, for the first one, I'm going to do behind this blue bead, and then I'm going to pop my charm right on there. Now to close it, do it the same way, and just make sure that it's completely flush to the other side. Also, a good tip is if your charms are one-sided or they're double-sided, but they're different on both sides, just make sure that you place your charm on the side that you want. And I'll show you here in a minute. Now I have my second jump ring, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit closer. Open it just like that. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then I close. Grab my next jump ring. 1, 2, 3. And close. And just do this all the way around until you've used up all your charms. Okay, for this last one I wanted to show you. Now this is a charm that has the bail that goes sideways versus these ones where they're facing you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a slightly smaller jump ring to this one and then hook it on to the larger 6mm jump ring. We are kind of making a bail for the bail. Pop that sucker on and then close it. Now we can put on our larger jump ring. 1, 2, 3. All right, we are done with our bracelet. Look how pretty it came out. This was so simple and so fast and easy to match with an outfit. Now I have 2 charm bracelets. I'm probably actually gonna give one of these to my daughter. She saw it earlier and she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, can you make me one? Of course, of course. I'm very fortunate that I have a girl, so I can give her a bunch of stuff that I make too. So she's super excited about it. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. I had so much fun making these, and I hope you did too. Feel free to share your bracelets that you've made. I do have a hashtag on Instagram called Heather's Art Class, and tag me in it. I would love, love, love to see what you created. So thank you for joining in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.